And a senior political science lecturer at the University of Ghana has predicted a win for General Muhammadu Buhari in the Nigerian presidential elections.
Well, according to him, should President Goodluck Jonathan question the results, violence will break out and there will be implications for Ghana.
Some violent attacks were recorded on the first day of voting, leaving at least 41 people dead and sending people fleeing from polling stations in northeastern Nigeria. In the southern oil-producing region, thousands of Nigerians protested the alleged killings of opposition campaign workers and voting irregularities. Elections Commissioner Atahiru Jega on Sunday promised to investigate. Other concerns have been technical hitches, including failure of biometric machines and stealing of ballot boxes. Amid these concerns, the international community have praised Nigeria for a largely peaceful polls.
The likelihood of General Buhari coming to power very, very high. Now, when General Buhari comes to power and the Goodluck Jonathan side accepts the results, no problem. But if the question the results in any way, violence may break out. And when violence breaks out, the implications for Ghana are very, very serious. Ghana, in terms of GDP, in terms of economic growth, is probably the second largest English-speaking economy in West Africa after Nigeria. Not only that, Ghana has enjoyed peace and stability for some time. So if there's crisis in an English-speaking country such as Nigeria and people want a place to go, this is the only place they can come.
What lessons are there to be learned by Ghana from the elections in Nigeria?
Create an alternative verification processes so that it could help people who have encountered those problems to go by those particular procedure and then vote. The issue we had with 2012 was that there was a law which says no verification, no vote. So even if you are not verified by the machine, there was no way you could circumvent that particular procedure. And we even saw that even in Nigeria, the president of the republic himself could not be verified by the machine, but they realized that he has his name in the list and he was manually verified.
A division within the body politic of Nigeria may be replicated in Ghana. There will be Buhari supporters, there will be Goodluck Jonathan supporters here, and unless the security agencies are very, very alert, a conflict in Nigeria could be reproduced. And so let us all hope and pray that whichever way it goes, but I am very confident that Buhari may win.
The patience, determination and the resilience of the Nigerian people in pressing forward and exercising their civic duties in the face of unjustifiable violence has been praised by the United Nations.
Well, you're watching News 360 and time now to delve a little bit deeper into the Nigerian elections. We're going to speak to Chukwu Emeka, he's Executive Director of WANEP. And, well, Chukwu, we'll be looking at the Nigerian electoral landscape at the moment. And if you're there, good evening and thank you for joining us, Chukwu.
My pleasure.
I've heard a lot of predictions. Do you think it is right to start predicting anything from what we've heard so far?
I think I'll be very cautious because it's still too close. Right. If you look at the dynamics of the results so far, 9 results out of expected 37, which is 36 states plus the Federal Capital Territory, is nothing to write home about. And if you look at the margin, we're talking about just less than 20,000 votes.
Right. So, Chukwu, why should we start talking about fears and violence breaking out in Nigeria? Is there any reason for that?
Well, if you look at the history of the Nigeria election, specifically with the 2011 post-electoral violence, then I think it is not out of place for people to be conscious. But of course, again, there are some intervening factors that some of these analysts do not put into consideration. For example, why is it that even with the predictions of violence during the election, Nigeria have been able to largely scale through? So I will always say, yes, it is good to be conscious, but also blowing that out of proportion will also instigate more fear rather than doubt it.
Is there any reason for those predicting a Buhari win rather than Goodluck Jonathan retaining power? I mean, are there any underground current that you know of?
Well, I will again say that a lot of it has to do with conjecture. First of all, is that you can't rule out the fact that this is the most highly contested election in the history of Nigerian politics, especially since the return of democracy about 16 years ago. In the past, once the ruling party wins or conduct their primaries, you already have an idea where the pendulum will swing to. But this time around, it is not easy even for anybody, even up to now, to authoritatively predict. There are still deciding states that is not yet on the table. Kano State with 48 local governments and the highest population according to the census, the last census of Nigeria is there. Lagos State with close to 20 million people and one of the highest population in terms of voting population is still not on the table. So maybe those who are predicting that are thinking that Buhari probably will win those two states. But again, you may have the highest number of voters and another candidate will have the highest number of states, in which case you also battle with the 25% minimum that you have to get into third of the 36 states plus federal capital territory. So I think it's too early, and a little bit of patience will give us a better direction.
Chukwu, are there any determinants which will make Buhari win or Goodluck Jonathan retain power? What are the current issues?
The three states that, in my opinion, will swing this vote is Lagos, Kano, and Rivers State. So it depends on the gap between the two of them in this state. Otherwise, the rest of the states, people can already predict where they will go to in terms of the APC-dominated places and the PDP-dominated areas. For the results so far, there are still areas that were originally to be contested, and if you look at the figures, like I said earlier on, they are very, very close, to give anybody an edge. But those who are predicting Buhari's win might still be even emotional. Those who say it's good luck might also be emotional. So a few hours, we'll get there.
Right, Chukwu, I wish we had more time to talk to you, but is Boko Haram an issue in this election? Is it?
Yes, security has been a major issue because it has, in my opinion, been a dent to the present administration, and the opposition, expectedly have cashed in on that, and you don't blame them for doing that. So security has been a major issue. So even with the number of strides that the administration was able to chop in the last 6 weeks, I think, in my opinion, it was too late to influence the voting pattern.
Right, Chukwu Emeka, giving us some insight into the Nigerian election. We're grateful for your time. Thank you for joining us.